Hello, my future American friends. If you are watching this video, you're probably looking for some more information on how to become an American citizen. Well, you found the video. Throughout this guided PowerPoint, I will be looking straight at the PowerPoint that I created for you while talking to you like this. So if you see me looking this direction, it's simply because I am looking at the PowerPoint. Now, without further ado, this is everything you need to know about the civics test in 2026. A lot of rules has changed since 2025 October. So let's be diligent and meticulous and careful in reviewing everything you need to know for the new test. So if you're looking for the new test, you are at the right location. So first, I want to explain the structure of this civics test. It has two main parts. First, the English test, and then second, the civic test. The English test is when the officer evaluates English in three ways. Evaluates your English, that is. The three ways are speaking, reading, and writing. Now, let's talk about speaking. And by the way, I put an apostrophe here because I believe this one is what a lot of people struggle with the most. So, speaking. The officer evaluates speaking during the interview conversation. So when they ask you a question like, what's your name? Why do you want to become a citizen? That is already a part of the English test. So some examples are personal questions about you, like how long have you been in America? What is your family like? Do you like America? And also reviewing the N400 application. That is the application where you paid about $700 to fill out for the opportunity to become an American citizen. You do not need to pass a separate speaking test. So it's not like IELTS or TOEFL. It's simply the one-on-one interaction that's considered the English test. Okay, now let's go to reading. You must read one sentence correctly out of the three. So they will give you some examples like these. Let's read these together. Repeat after me. The president lives in the White House. Good. Citizens can vote. Congress meets in Washington, D.C. If you had trouble saying any of these three lines, just go back a little bit at the bottom of the video so you can repeat. It's important that you speak clearly. Okay, next I will go over writing. So in the writing assessment, you must write one sentence correctly out of three sentences. So here are some example sentences. The White House is in Washington. Citizens can vote. The president lives in the White House. The officer usually asks you to write using a tablet and stylus. So imagine your iPad, or imagine when at some cafes and restaurants where you had to use a pen to sign something. That's the type of material you will be writing on. Next. So this is part 2, the civic test, and we are talking about the 2026 version. As mentioned, in October of 2025, the civic test was updated. It is now following a slightly different set of rules. Some consider it easier, some consider it much more difficult. Let's see what you think. Okay, so in 2026, the civics test checks knowledge of U.S. history and government. There are 128 possible questions. So every question you will get is one of the 128 questions. So there won't be surprises if you study the 128 questions. Previously, it was only 120. How many questions are asked in the interview? The officer, the same one who interviewed you briefly, is going to ask you 20 questions. Now, the next slide, I will teach you the difference between the 20 questions, the structure of that today versus in the past. So in 2026, you just need a passing score of at least 12 questions correctly out of 20. So if you get above a 60, as I know you will because you're super smart, you will pass. And the test also adapted something a little bit different. And this is what I'm going to tell you. So the test automatically stops if two things happen. Number one, if you answer 12 questions correctly, automatically pass, done. Or you answer 9 questions incorrectly, automatically fail, done. So this is different because previously the officer would ask all 20 questions. This time, they will not ask all 20. They will either ask 12 or 9, depending on if you pass or fail. Now let's look at some of the civic questions and topics. I broke it down into several areas for you. So we have American government, American history, civic responsibilities, and symbols and holidays. These are the main 4 categories, and we're going to look at each one of these. So let's take a look at first the American government. American government is made of principles of democracy, branches of government like legislative, executive, and judicial, and rights and responsibilities. I want you to make this immediate adjustment in your mind. The word right, when it comes to your civics test, is not about getting it correct. Right is not about turning right instead of turning left. Right in the context of your civics test is about your privilege or your power. So when they talk about rights, like the citizens' rights, protects American citizens' rights, it's talking about protecting your rights as an American citizen. And there will be a lot of questions on that. A quick note on the principles of democracy. You have to know the 3 main documents: the Constitution, and what came before it, Declaration of Independence, and what came after it, Bill of Rights. What is Bill of Rights? The first 10 amendments. If you're interested, I'll make another video talking about all of these American democracy principles and U.S. history. But for now, we'll keep going. Here's another area, American history. So when it comes to American history, we have colonial period, independence, and major historical events. All of these will belong into the American history category. Next, civic responsibilities. Voting. If you're a citizen, they like to encourage you to vote. And that is a participation in democracy. There's also other ways to participate in democracy. Okay, next is symbols and holidays. If you've lived in America for 10 years, you probably not only know, but experience them yourself. So like Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, 4th of July, very important. This year in 2026, it will be America's 250th birthday. Next, what happens if I fail the test? I have some Chinese words here because I mostly help Chinese students prepare for civic tests. So I'll just briefly explain to you. This says like, oh, I'm so worried. This says, I'm worried I will fail. This says, can I go again? So whichever language is your native tongue, you probably have the same worries and anxieties in your own language, and that's okay. I'm going to tell you some good news. So if you fail your test, you will receive one more chance. And don't worry, it's not one more chance for life. It's one more chance for this test. So for example, in 60 to 90 days, you can take the test again. And you only have to take the parts that you got wrong. So only the failed portions is retaken. Now, if you fail the second time, it's not that you cannot take the test again. It's simply you cannot take the test again without paying the money again. So there goes another $710. That's what this means. So I've shared a lot of information. We're already, I think, over 10 minutes. So I'm going to give you a quick summary of everything when it comes to taking the 2026 civics test. Ready? The citizenship test has two parts, the English test and the civics test. For the civics part, there are 128 possible questions. During the interview, the officer asks up to 20 questions, and you need 12 correct answers to pass. Okay. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below. If you have another video request, again, leave a comment below. Even if one person asks me a question and I see it and it's a reasonable request, I will make a video just for you. That's how much I want to be helpful and useful to you. Okay, thank you for watching. I hope you become an American citizen. And I will see you again in the next video. Subscribe to this channel if you want to see more educational videos. Bye!